Hi there. I'm Dean Walker, founder of a little outpost here in the interwebs called Living Resilience. Living Resilience has been around for going on 11 years now, and our mission, if you will, is to offer resources and support and practices for folks who are aware of human-caused collapse of both Earth and human systems. And perhaps needless to say, in the past year, 2025, uh, the awareness, the mutual awareness of certainly Americans of human-caused collapse of both Earth and human systems, at least the human systems for sure, that awareness has been growing. And that's been, as far as I can tell, an excruciating process for the citizens here in the US and also for many people around the world as a result. What you've stumbled into, this is recording is a part of our current course that we're offering. We offer every year, we offer one main advanced course for people who are aware of this kind of learning, this kind of shared exploration of existential issues in on the world stage. And we've got these courses that we offer online. We have an online community space, a Mighty Networks space, in which we house those courses, the introductory work that we offer, a substantial amount of that, the materials that would be useful for our deep dive groups, um, in terms of study and experiential learning, like how to hold space for one another with the stress levels ever growing. And this particular video is a very precious kind of sharing that came from one of the participants, regular participants in our Tuesday evening Pacific time support group called Safe Circle. And this particular participant has recently been, well, last year, been fired from his 29-year career with Social Security here in the USA. And as we can all just easily remember at this point, the onslaught of DOGE and its supposed mission of taking away waste, fraud, and abuse when clearly that was not the case. It was one of the largest scale frauds in U.S. history, perhaps world history, and one of the most damaging to a nation's underbelly, to the safety, what's left of the U.S. safety net for its citizens. This is an extraordinary sharing from this person who lost his job in the midst of that inferno. And you know what I wanted to do was share that with you all, the public, because this is being released on our Poetry of Predicament YouTube channel, which is, of course, just made to be a public expression, not necessarily involved with people who are participants in our courses or participants in our support groups and so on. And we hope that you will find this as moving and as encouraging, inspiring as we have. Um, this person basically was was inspired by one of his children's assignments at school to find motivation in the incredibly well-known and inspiring speech of Martin Luther King, "I have a dream." And it's not at all meant to co-opt the heart of that. It's meant to be just a small fragment of the Martin Luther King's speech and personalized into this person's life. And what is particularly moving about that for me here is we all know how to doom scroll now. We all know how to make our way through the daily onslaught of what's happening now in our fascist dictatorship here in the USA. What insanity is running rampant through the streets and through the hearts and souls of Americans now and rippling out around the world. What this participant in our courses, excuse me, in our support groups brought us is his own heartfelt expression when he tries on for size the notion of, I have a dream. And this is his expression of his dream for his own life, his own intimate relationship with his family, what qualities of relatedness he wants to bring, what qualities of presence he wants to bring that he dreams of for his intimate relationship, his familial relationship, his neighbors, his community relationships, and somehow find a way to have a positive motion forward, even in the midst of this inferno of a fascist dictatorship. I again hope you will find this as useful, as inspiring, as moving as we have here. And perhaps you'll be motivated to give us a chance to show you around of what our offerings are. You'll see in the show notes links to how to check out this work that we do. Our most recent course is uh, is called The Inner Work. And what we're asserting is that there's a tremendous amount of inner work that we're long overdue to start doing now. It's far higher pressure level than there were 10 or 20 years ago when some folks got that inner work in motion in their own lives. Those were very few and far between, those folks. So now the rest of us are left to try and pick up and get motion with that inner work and asking important questions as this person that you're about to hear share, the kind of questions that brings them to have their dream and articulate that dream, the qualities of presence, the qualities of relatedness. Um, these are extraordinary times, and I wish for us all to be able to come to this level of clarity that you're about to hear from this person and their dream. It would be a pleasure to have you show up in one of our circles, do some of the work with us, join us for a safe circle call from time to time. You're certainly more than welcome, and you'll find all the information that you need to find out about living resilience and our coursework and so on in the show notes below. Enjoy.
So the reason why I started looking or even attempted to write this I Have a Dream piece is because I tend to be overwhelmed with all of the negative things that are happening in the world. And I tend to perseverate on those. And I've always, throughout most of my life, been rather pessimistic and focused on all of the things that are wrong with this world. And so I thought I needed to do some rebalancing in my life in the face of this. And what I'm looking at is having to move across country um, for financial reasons because both my wife and I lost our jobs in 2025 and we haven't been able to secure new jobs. And so we needed to move to a less expensive part of the country. And so as I've been perseverating and worrying about all the things that are wrong with the world and all of the challenges with the move, I felt that I needed to reorient my thinking towards the more positive.
Mm.
And so I got I had read in going through and cleaning up the house, I came across something that my son had done in second grade. Uh, he had written a little note to Martin Luther King. For Martin Luther King, in school they do the theme pieces, and so I figured, well, that was a good framework for me to talk about what is my dream about moving to Michigan and what is my dream for my family. So essentially, why are we doing this? And not just because we have to or the financial reasons, but what do I want out of this move? Because this move is an opportunity to remake and change some of the patterns that you get into when you're living in a place for as long as we've lived in this place. So, and it goes something like this: I have a dream where we have a home that fosters peace and love amongst our family by being affordable, comfortable, and in a location that facilitates a healthy lifestyle with engaging community activities. Where Beth and I have meaningful work that adds income and purpose to our lives and allows us to ensure we have the resources to travel, to see friends, family, and the best that Michigan has to offer. Where our children improve their health and well being by choosing to eat better foods, increase their physical activity, and have a life less dependent on electronics. Where Sebastian has a job and learns how to overcome his anxieties, to hold himself accountable, and build confidence in his ability to solve problems and face challenges with increasing independence. Where Elix adjusts to a new school, finds teachers and friends who support him, and he successfully graduates from high school so that he can feel confident and ready to continue his growth and face new challenges. Where Beth and I can grow together and be responsive to each other's needs by having the time to focus on one another rather than having a relationship based on grievance. Where I will have the strength to be the father, husband that I need to be, peaceful rather than anxious, available rather than preoccupied, dedicated to the needs of my family rather than burdened, to be someone that makes the days of others a little bit better rather than a little bit worse, where I see opportunity and abundance rather than scarcity. I have a dream that this move to Michigan becomes the fulfillment of our lives, where we thrive instead of merely surviving.
Yeah, it's, I've already said this to you individually, but I want to mention it for here when we're recording it for others to get the whole context of this is, I'm so moved by you're reminding me of one of the most inspirational speeches that I've ever heard. And then for you to bring it in to the extremely personal. And if you don't mind me mentioning or asking you to mention, how is it that you and your wife lost your jobs?
My wife was just as a corporate restructuring,
Mhm.
and they eliminated her position and reassigned work. I lost my job. I mean, through the activities of the DOGE. I
Mhm.
was worked for the federal government for 29 years, and I worked in the regional offices, and they eliminated all of the regional offices in my agency. And I was given a choice. I could have stayed and taken a frontline position, but I chose to retire instead. Um, and because I didn't feel like the agency was building anything. I did not think that I could really do much
Yeah.
uh, in that capacity when you have an agency that's under assault and not being able to serve the public as was intended to do. So for my mental health, I felt like I had to leave. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And to me, that goes just right to the heart of what we're doing in this course as a tiny fragment of the efforts that are hopefully going on across the country to somehow bring ourselves some kind of stability. And especially hearing from you a voice that you've been on the literally the front lines of the destruction of some of the core elements of this way of governing, this way of running a country. And you're living part of the kind of the leading edge of how it actually feels to have your life affected at that level. So thank
yeah,
you. Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
If I may, the challenge that I've had is, yes, there's the financial challenges of things, but the probably the more momentous challenge is how do you be happy in a world that is facing civilizational collapse, where the institutions that so many people rely on, and I know them intimately. I mean, I worked for Social Security for 29 years. I know how important that agency is to the American people. And to see that just attacked
Hmm.
and crumble in so quickly,
Yeah.
it has such a psychic impact. And then when you put that into all of the other planetary systems that are under challenge in the international agreements, and how do you live in this world where things are falling apart
Yeah.
and still keep your mental health together, and be able to lead, in my case, try to lead my family through this. It's very difficult.
Hmm.
uh, and I'm not sure I'm being very successful at it, but again, going back to the piece that I wrote was really, again, my attempt to try and fight back against the grief, fight back against the darkness, and try to have some vision of goodness in a world where it just seems like there's one day after the next, things are just falling apart.
Yeah. Well, Michael, again, thank you so much for bringing your heart and the both the darkness and the light that's going on in your experience directly to us. And because it's basically still an abstraction, even if we're, neck deep in the constant fire hose of the news cycle, which is horrid enough. But it's a very different thing when it's really your daily experience. And that has moved me greatly, and I'm again just so inspired by what you brought by reminding us of MLK's speech and then being able to pull some inspiration and some motivation out of that for your own expression. It's really a gift, and I thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate your interest, so thank you.
Yeah. All right, brother. Thank you.
All right.